You ever wonder why the smartest people you know stay quiet in heated moments? Why some people walk into a room and instantly take control without raising their voice, without flashing money, without saying more than a few words? It's not luck. It's not charm. It's control. Let me ask you something. How many times have you said something you regretted because you were angry? How many times have you made an impulsive purchase to feel better after a bad day? How often have you let your emotions leak into your decisions, your relationships, your future? Yeah, we've all been there. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Most people walk through life as emotional reactors. Something happens, they react. Someone says something, they fire back. A situation stresses them, they spiral. And at the end of the day, they wonder why life feels chaotic, why people don't respect them, and why they feel broke, not just financially, but mentally and emotionally. What if I told you the gap between where you are and where you want to be is not more hustle, not more talent, not more luck, but the ability to control three things: your mouth, your mood, and your money?
Simple? Yes. Easy? Not at all.
These are the weapons of discipline. And if you don't learn to master them, someone else, life, people, emotions will use them against you. So stay with me, because we're not here to play soft. We're not here for hype. We're going to dig into the kind of power that can't be bought, can't be faked, and damn sure can't be taken from you unless you hand it over. Let's talk about control, the kind that starts with you. Let's be honest. Most people don't lose battles in life because of physical failure. They lose because they don't know when to shut their mouths. They talk too much, too fast, and without strategy, and they don't realize that every word they speak is either building their credibility or burning it to the ground. Words are weapons. They can defend or destroy, build alliances, or ignite wars. And if you don't control your mouth, it will absolutely control you. Think about the last time you got into an argument. Maybe it was with a partner, a colleague, or a complete stranger online. What did your words do? Did they solve the problem? Or did they escalate it? Did they reflect your intelligence or reveal your emotional weakness? Too many people treat their mouth like a fire hose, just pouring out everything they feel in the moment, hoping it makes them feel better. But you don't win by venting. You win by choosing when to speak, what to say, and when to say nothing at all. Let me give it to you straight. Silence is power. The ability to hold your tongue in moments of anger, humiliation, or pressure. That's the kind of control that separates amateurs from professionals, weak from strong. And no, this isn't about being passive. This is about being strategic. Because if you're always the one reacting, always the one explaining, always the one defending, you've already lost control of the situation. The truth is, people will try to provoke you. Not always consciously, but they will. In business, in relationships. Even on the street, the world is full of people who get their power by stealing yours, by pulling you out of character, by making you react emotionally. And when you give in, when you run your mouth without thinking, you just handed them the steering wheel. Now think about high stakes environments, interviews, negotiations, crisis moments. The ones who stay calm, measured, and intentional with their words are the ones who get the upper hand. They're not rushing to fill every silence. They don't overshare. They don't ramble. Why? Because they understand the psychology of communication. They understand that restraint is intimidating, that people trust the quiet professional more than the loud one trying to prove something. There's a reason interrogators, negotiators, and elite operatives are trained to speak with precision and intention. Every word must count. Every pause must mean something. They don't talk to be heard. They talk to influence. You don't need to work in law enforcement or military intelligence to adopt that skill set. You just need discipline. You need to break the habit of speaking from emotion instead of strategy. Start paying attention to your language. What are the words you say about yourself when no one's around? Are you reinforcing strength or weakness? Because your mouth doesn't just affect your relationships, it shapes your self-perception. If you're constantly speaking in a way that is negative, passive, or uncertain, that becomes your internal narrative. Your mouth trains your mind, and let's not ignore how people perceive you. Your reputation is shaped in seconds by what comes out of your mouth. You could walk into a room with the sharpest suit, the strongest resume, and all the potential in the world. But the moment you speak like you're unprepared, defensive, arrogant, or insecure, you lose respect. And let me tell you something about respect. Once you lose it, getting it back is a hell of a fight. Controlling your mouth doesn't mean staying silent forever. It means learning to speak from a place of control, not compulsion. It means being assertive without being aggressive. It means knowing when to shut up, when to speak up, and when to walk away altogether. That's not weakness. That's elite level emotional intelligence. Here's a challenge for you. The next time you feel that urge to snap, to correct someone in public, to speak, just to fill the silence, don't stop, breathe. Ask yourself, is this going to serve me or sabotage me? Is this response coming from strength or insecurity? And by the way, control doesn't mean you're fake. It means you're effective. There's a difference. Being raw and real doesn't mean you get a pass to be reckless with your words. Honesty doesn't require brutality. Authenticity doesn't excuse carelessness. The realest people in the room are the ones who know their words carry weight, and they use them like a scalpel, not a shotgun. We live in a world where people tweet before they think, post before they process, and speak just to be loud. Be different. Be the one who pauses, the one who watches, the one who understands that not every thought needs to be verbalized, because once words leave your mouth, you can't take them back. You can apologize, explain, or spin it, but the damage is done. So why not avoid that trap altogether? You want to gain power in life? Learn to control your mouth, not just in the heated moments, but in every moment. Speak less. Speak better. Speak with purpose. And when you do speak, make sure your words carry the weight of someone who's done the work, not someone who just reacts, but someone who leads. Let's be clear. Your mood is not just a passing feeling. It's a force, a driver. And for most people, it's the one in the front seat, making the decisions, steering the day, deciding who gets hurt, what gets said, and how life unfolds moment to moment. But here's the hard truth. If you don't control your mood will control you. And eventually, it will cost you opportunities, relationships, and your own peace of mind. Think about how many people walk through life on autopilot, dictated by how they feel that day. If they feel energized, they're productive. If they feel down, everything's a mess. If they feel triggered, they lash out. If they feel slighted, they become bitter. And what they don't realize is that they've given all their power away to emotions that shift with the wind. We're human. Emotions are part of the package. You're supposed to feel anger. You're supposed to feel sadness. You're supposed to feel joy, fear, pride, shame, hope, and everything in between. But feeling something doesn't mean it gets to take the wheel. Emotion is like weather. You observe it, you prepare for it, but you don't build your life on it. There's a massive difference between having emotions and being your emotions. When you say, I am angry, you've already identified with the emotion. You've merged with it. But when you say, I feel angry, you've created space between you and the feeling. That space is power. It means you are not your anger. You are not your anxiety. You are not your frustration. You are a person experiencing those things, and therefore you have the ability to choose how to respond. And that choice, that's everything. Most people never build that pause. They get cut off in traffic. They flip out. Someone disagrees with them. They take it as a personal attack. A post on social media bothers them. They go in a keyboard warpath. But let me ask you something. How dangerous is it to live in a way where your entire state of mind is at the mercy of what other people do or say? You think that's strength? That's vulnerability. Not emotional vulnerability, the useful kind, but weakness, because it means anyone can push your buttons and take you off your path. You've become predictable, reactive, easy to manipulate, and in a world that's constantly throwing noise at you, being reactive is a liability. Control your mood, and you become unshakable, not numb, unshakable. There's a difference. This isn't about pretending nothing bothers you. It's about becoming the kind of person who doesn't let temporary emotions cause permanent damage. You learn to regulate. You learn to observe your own state like a professional. And when the pressure's on, you don't explode. You breathe. You calculate. You stay centered. The people who get ahead in life aren't the ones who never feel. They're the ones who've trained themselves to function regardless of how they feel. It's easy to do the right thing when you're in a good mood. That's not discipline. That's convenience. The real test is who you are when your back's against the wall, when you're sleep deprived, when someone disrespects you, when life hits you sideways. Can you still lead? Can you still think clearly? Can you still speak with control? You don't rise to the occasion, you fall to the level of your training. And training your mood is part of the work. That means building routines that stabilize you. That means getting enough sleep, eating to fuel your body, having physical movement in your day, and cutting off toxic emotional input. It also means doing the mental reps, journaling, meditating, breathing deeply when the storm hits. People want magic, but the truth is it's not a secret. It's just consistency. You train your body and your mind daily so that when chaos comes, you're ready. And let's be real about something. Emotional control doesn't mean emotional suppression. This isn't about pretending you're fine when you're not. It's about expressing your emotions responsibly. It's about not unloading your frustration onto someone who had nothing to do with it. It's about not making critical decisions when you're emotionally compromised. It's about learning to sit with your discomfort without needing to act on it instantly. Because every time you react from emotion, you risk making a situation worse. You risk burning a bridge, damaging your credibility, or sending your life down a track it didn't need to go. But when you pause, even for 5 seconds, you open the door to clarity. And clarity is a superpower. When you stop letting your mood make your choices, you start making decisions that serve your long-term goals, not your short-term impulses. You stop saying things you can't take back. You stop sending that text you'll regret. You stop walking into rooms with unresolved rage and tension. You start choosing peace over drama, strategy over reaction, discipline over impulse. That's where real power lives, not in being louder, faster, more aggressive, but in being grounded, steady, unshakable. And people respect the person who's calm in the storm because that's the person you want in a crisis. That's the person who can lead, who can be trusted, who doesn't unravel when things get hard. And in this world, that kind of person stands out. So the next time your emotions try to hijack the moment, ask yourself, who's in control right now? Is it the version of me that reacts or the version of me that leads? Because once you learn to control your mood, you stop living at the mercy of your feelings and you start living by your principles. And that's when everything changes. Most people think money problems are just about numbers, not enough income, too many bills, too much debt. But that's not the full story. The truth is, money issues are rarely just financial. They're emotional, psychological, and deeply personal. They reveal your relationship with control, discipline, and long-term thinking. That's why controlling your money isn't just about financial literacy. It's about mental toughness. Because financial discipline is mental discipline. Every dollar you spend is a decision. It's a message about what you value, what you fear, and what you believe about yourself and your future. Most people don't realize this. They think of money as this external thing, something you chase, something you need, something outside of who you are. But your financial habits are a reflection of your mindset. They show how impulsive you are, how well you plan, how comfortable you are with discomfort, and how much self-respect you really carry. Let's be real. How many times have you bought something to make yourself feel better? Retail therapy, they call it. But what it really is emotional avoidance. It's a momentary escape from a deeper problem, boredom, sadness, stress, comparison. You feel low. You see something shiny. You swipe your card, and for a few seconds you feel in control. But that high fades, and you're back where you started. Except now you've lost money and nothing inside you has changed. Spending can become a drug, just like food, just like attention. It can become a coping mechanism, a distraction, a substitute for real growth. And if you don't learn to master that urge, you'll keep chasing comfort at the expense of your future. Because every unnecessary dollar spent today is a dollar stolen from tomorrow. And every time you tell yourself, I deserve this, when you haven't earned it, you're reinforcing a mindset of entitlement, not discipline. And no, this isn't about being cheap. This isn't about never enjoying your life. It's about being intentional. It's about knowing the difference between investing in yourself and indulging yourself. There's a line between rewarding hard work and numbing pain. If you're honest with yourself, you know which side of that line you're standing on. So let's talk about budgeting, because for most people, the word alone feels like a prison sentence. They hear budget and they think lack, sacrifice, restriction. But budgeting isn't about punishment. It's about clarity. It's about telling your money where to go instead of wondering where it went. When you budget, you're not saying, I can't have this. You're saying, I choose not to sabotage my future for a fleeting want today. That's real power. Power isn't flashing wealth. It's having options. It's having breathing room. It's being able to walk away from toxic jobs, bad relationships, or desperate situations because you planned ahead. You want confidence? Try having 6 months of expenses saved. Try being debt-free. Try being able to say no without fear, because your survival doesn't depend on anyone's approval. Money problems are freedom problems, and people don't just wake up broke. They build that condition slowly, with 1,000 tiny decisions made from emotion, not logic. A $6 or coffee here, streaming subscription they don't use, a gadget they didn't need, a vacation they couldn't afford, and each time they justify it. Each time they tell themselves it's no big deal. But when you zoom out, you realize these are habits, and habits become your life. You don't need to be rich to be financially disciplined. Some of the most reckless people in the world have millions, and they still end up bankrupt. Why? Because money doesn't fix character. It magnifies it. If you're undisciplined when you have $100, you'll be undisciplined with $10,000. If you chase status with credit now, you'll chase it with loans later. The pattern doesn't change until you do. That's why real financial control starts with mindset. It starts with asking yourself some hard questions. What am I trying to prove with my spending? Who am I trying to impress? Am I trading long-term peace for short-term pleasure? And am I building a life that feels good or just one that looks good? Social media doesn't help. Everywhere you look, people are showing off what they bought, where they're traveling, what they're driving, but you never see the credit card statements. You don't see the stress behind the filters. And if you're not grounded in your own vision, you'll end up living someone else's dream while burying yourself in debt, trying to keep up. Discipline means living below your means, even when you don't have to. It means saying no to short-term splurges, so you can say yes to long-term freedom. It means being patient enough to build, save, invest, and wait while others burn themselves out, trying to look successful instead of becoming it. And when you get that discipline down, when you stop letting your mood drive your money, when you stop using spending to cope, when you start seeing money as a tool and not a drug, everything shifts. You start to feel in control, not just financially, but emotionally, because you're no longer reacting to life. You're creating it. You're no longer living in scarcity. You're moving with strategy. That's when the pressure lifts. That's when you stop chasing and start building. And that's when money becomes what it was meant to be. All along, not a source of stress, but a source of power. So ask yourself, are you in control of your money, or is your money in control of you? Are you making decisions like a leader or reacting like someone running from discomfort? Because when you learn to master your money, you're not just changing your bank account. You're changing your life, one disciplined decision at a time. You can't master your life until you master yourself. That's the bottom line. Everything you want, respect, freedom, peace, power. It doesn't come from controlling the world around you. It comes from controlling the world within you. And that means governing your own mind, your own reactions, your own impulses. It means becoming the kind of person who doesn't need to be managed, reminded, or rescued. Because the person who governs themselves is the person who can handle anything. The truth most people don't want to face is that self-control is not optional. If you want a meaningful life, it's the entry fee. The problem is everyone wants the reward, but few are willing to pay the price of discipline. They want confidence, but they won't control their mouth. They want peace, but they let their mood run wild. They want freedom, but they have no control over their spending. They want power, but they can't even keep their promises to themselves. And then they wonder why nothing changes. Let's stop pretending these areas are separate. Your words, your emotions, your finances, they're all connected. They're part of the same system. You don't just lose control in one area of your life. It leaks. You lose control of your mood, and suddenly your mouth follows. You say something you shouldn't have. Then you feel guilty or defensive, so you spend money trying to make yourself feel better. And now you're emotionally unstable, socially strained, and financially weaker, all because you didn't hit pause and take ownership of your internal state. That's why self-governance is everything. It's not about being perfect. It's about being consistent, reliable, intentional. It's about refusing to be owned by impulses, moods, or noise. And when you start stacking discipline across every area, things begin to shift. You stop just surviving and start building. You stop reacting and start choosing. It's easy to think that controlling your mouth is just about communication, that controlling your mood is just about emotion, or that controlling your money is just about math. But that's surface level thinking. Each one reflects a deeper truth about your relationship with power. Do you own your behavior, or does your behavior own you? Do you lead yourself, or are you just being pulled around by emotion, ego, and fear? The person who can sit in silence instead of talking just to be heard, that's a person who has power. The person who can feel the storm of emotion without letting it spill into their decisions, that's a person who's dangerous in the best way. The person who can delay gratification, live below their means, and build quietly instead of flexing for strangers, that's someone playing the long game. And the long game is where the real wins live. We're living in a world that tells you to be yourself, express yourself, do what feels good, and live in the moment. But let's be honest, that's a trap if you don't know who you are yet. If you haven't built a core strong enough to handle pressure, then all you're doing is expressing chaos. All you're doing is amplifying unprocessed emotions and calling it authenticity. Real authenticity is built on self-awareness, not emotional impulsivity. And self-awareness starts with self-governance. You don't get to pick which areas of your life you control and which ones you let slide. It doesn't work that way. Discipline isn't a light switch, it's a muscle. You train it daily across every decision, every habit, every reaction. And the more you train it in one area, the stronger it gets in others. You start by learning to bite your tongue when you're tempted to lash out. That builds patience. That patience helps you regulate your mood under pressure. That emotional regulation gives you the clarity to stop spending money as a crutch. And now you're no longer a prisoner to your own patterns. You're free. That's the real reward of self-governance. Freedom, not the kind you post about, the kind you feel, the kind where you don't have to apologize for outbursts, the kind where your bank account doesn't keep you up at night, the kind where your presence calms a room instead of adding chaos. The kind where you don't live in fear of being exposed because you've already done the internal work. And make no mistake, it is work. This kind of control isn't handed to you, it's earned. You earn it by showing up when no one's watching. You earn it by breaking your own bad habits, by confronting your emotional baggage, by saying no to what's easy so you can say yes to what's right. You earn it by not making excuses, by not blaming your past, by not using your environment as a crutch. Self-governance means taking radical ownership of your life, even the parts that hurt. It's not glamorous. It's not loud, but it's powerful. It's the quiet, steady force that separates the person who rises under pressure from the one who folds, the one who builds a future from the one who wastes time talking about it. So if you're serious about becoming stronger, more resilient, more powerful, start connecting the dots. Control your mouth and you gain respect. Control your mood and you gain peace. Control your money and you gain freedom. Control all three and you gain not the reactive, fragile version you've been surviving with, but the real one, the one who leads, the one who builds, the one who lasts. That's the power of self-governance. It's not about domination. It's about liberation. The day you stop being a slave to your mouth, your moods, and your money is the day you start being free. There's a war happening every single day, and it's not out there in the world. It's in your head, your habits, your choices. It's the battle between the version of you that wants comfort, distraction, and excuses, and the version of you that's built for discipline, growth, and greatness. You versus you, the only opponent that actually matters is the most honest fight you'll ever face, because there's nowhere to hide from it. You can fake it for the world, you can put on a show, post the right quotes, say all the right things. But when you're alone, when the lights are off and the audience is gone, there's just you and the reality of how you're living. You know, if you've been putting in the work, you know, if you've been lying to yourself, you know, if your words and your actions line up. The hardest part about growth isn't learning something new. It's unlearning everything that's been keeping you stuck. The bad habits, the lazy patterns, the mental shortcuts you use to justify weakness. The voice in your head that says, you've done enough when you've barely started. The voice that says it's okay to quit when things get uncomfortable. That's your opponent. It's not your boss. It's not your past. It's not your competition. It's that internal version of you that's addicted to the easy way out. Every time you say, I'll do it later, you feed that version. Every time you let your emotions dictate your actions, you strengthen it. Every time you make a decision based on what's convenient instead of what's necessary, you give it more power. And eventually, that version of you becomes your default, tired, reactive, broke, bitter, and frustrated with a life you keep sabotaging. But here's the good news. You can win that battle. You don't need permission. You don't need a perfect plan. You just need to decide that you're done living beneath your potential, that you're done blaming everything and everyone else, that you're ready to hold yourself accountable brutally and consistently. And accountability, that's the ultimate self-respect. That's looking yourself in the mirror and saying, if I stay stuck, it's on me, not your parents, not the system, not the economy, you. Because even if it was someone else's fault, you're the one who has to fix it. That's the game. That's the deal. No one is coming to save you. You have to save yourself. And you can't do that if you keep letting the weaker version of you run the show. That version of you thrives on doubt. It loves when you hesitate. It loves when you second guess yourself, compare yourself, scroll for hours instead of putting in work. It wants you distracted, comfortable, sedated, because as long as you stay there, you're no threat. You're easy to control. You'll keep settling for less. You'll keep playing small. But the stronger version of you, that one's dangerous. That one doesn't wait for motivation. That one doesn't make excuses. That one does the hard things without needing applause. That one keeps promises, especially the ones made to yourself. And every time you choose discipline over distraction, you feed that version. You become more of that person. The one who doesn't break under pressure. The one who shows up when it's hard. The one who owns every part of their life, even the messy ones. This battle isn't about perfection. It's about consistency. You're going to lose some rounds. You're going to slip, procrastinate, react emotionally, make mistakes. That's part of it. But what matters is that you don't stay down. What matters is that you don't let one bad day become a bad month. You don't let one failure define your identity. You get back up sharper, more aware, more determined. Because that's what separates the average from the extraordinary. Not talent, not luck, not resources. It's the ability to keep fighting the internal battle every single day. And make no mistake, the stakes are high. This is your life we're talking about. Your future, your health, your freedom, your legacy. You don't get to outsource that. You don't get to skip the hard parts. You either face the mirror and level up or you don't, but no one's going to do it for you. You want to change your world, change yourself. You want better results, make better choices. You want peace, control your mind. You want freedom, earn it. It all starts with who's winning the battle inside you. That's why everything we've talked about, controlling your mouth, your mood, your money, it all comes down to this war. Because it's you who speaks when you're angry. It's you who swipes the card out of impulse. It's you who reacts, who hesitates, who either shows up or doesn't. And the only way to shift that is to confront it. Not once, but every day. The truth is, no one ever beats you but you. Life will test you. People will betray you. Situations will challenge you. But the biggest damage is always self-inflicted. You can recover from loss. You can rebuild after failure. But what's hard to fix is the destruction you keep allowing by ignoring that internal battle and letting your weaker self win. So choose your fighter. Every morning, when you wake up, you've got a decision to make. Which version of me is showing up today? The one that leads or the one that hides? The one that builds or the one that blames? The one that creates or the one that complains? And then back it up with action. Not talk, not vision boards, not someday. Action. Because that's how you win this fight. One choice, one habit, 1 hour at a time. You versus you. The battle you can't avoid, so stop running from it. Face it. And win. At the end of the day, everything you want, respect, peace, freedom, power, starts with one thing: control. Control of your mouth, control of your mood, control of your money, and most importantly, control of you. This isn't about being perfect. It's not about being emotionless, ruthless, or robotic. It's about owning your life so completely that nothing and no one gets to pull you out of character, rob you of your future, or keep you locked in cycles that don't serve you. The person who learns to govern themselves becomes unstoppable, not because the world suddenly gets easier, but because they get stronger. When you master your words, you become respected. When you master your emotions, you become trusted. When you master your finances, you become free. And when you master all three, you become dangerous. In the best possible way: calm, sharp, clear, focused, unshaken by chaos, unbothered by noise, unmoved by cheap distractions. Because here's the truth. The world will always test you. People will always try to provoke you. Temptation will always be there. Life doesn't get easier, but you get more disciplined, you get sharper, you get in control. And when you do, you no longer live on defense. You move with intention, clarity, and power. So stop looking outward. Start looking inward. The real battle isn't out there. It never was. It's you versus you. And it's time you started winning